So Power Rangers Super Ninja Steel, episode 14, is it? I want to say it's episode 14. Sheriff Skyfire. Where do I start with this one? Well, first I should probably put the little one down. What? What? Nothing? You ain't got nothing to say about this episode? Of course not. You're a kitten. You're a kitten. Anyway, or she just wants to chill. Oddly enough, this episode opens at the school with a security guard. I mean, obviously, back when I was in school, schools didn't need security guards. The teachers were the security guards, or at least they were supposed to be. Well, obviously, as a lot of people know nowadays, we've got things like bomb threats and kids bringing weapons to school and drugs and violence and all that other kind of good stuff that you obviously shouldn't be seeing in high school. Well, that's why we now have security guards in high schools. Anyway, I believe this security guard's name is Clint, and he is the head of security at Summer Cove High School. He's the only security at Summer Cove High School. And oddly enough, he decides to give Haley, the White Ranger, citations or whatever have you for having her dog, in the school. Granted, I kind of agree. I don't know why she brings the dog to school. She's not disabled in any way. It's not a service dog. It's just her dog. It's just her pet dog. She proceeds to say, I bring him here all the time. He's been here a dozen times. And he's like, oh, well, a dozen times? That's a dozen more violations. So he ends up writing her up a dozen times. And then once more for not recycling her soda can. Instead she puts it in the trash. And I guess that's enough to really boil a security guard's blood. A little strange. Anyway, as the security guard Clint is walking off scene, he runs into who else but the ass clowns Victor and Monty. Why did he make them student deputies? That was like the dumbest thing he could have done. Now, I know back in Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, long time ago, Bulk and Skull, the actual funny characters from the show, they ended up becoming police officers in the later episodes of the show. And yeah, that was actually kind of entertaining and funny. But to have not only Victor and Monty, which are already basically a discount Bulk and Skull, try to play cops in school, not out in public, but just in school, it's a little bit strange. Oh well, that is my beard. Yes, it's my beard, baby. She wouldn't leave me alone, so there was just no way I was going to be able to record this video without her bugging the crap out of me. But that's totally fine. She's being good. Well then. Anyway, the reason why Victor and Monty wanted to become student deputies was because basically they just want to bully people around like they normally do anyway. So nothing new there. Cut to the Galaxy Warrior spaceship with Cosmo, the character that shouldn't be, introducing the monster for this episode, Blammo. Sounds like a kid's toy company. Blammo. There's the new Super Soaker Splat 5000 by Blammo. I just think it's a stupid name for a villain, for a monster. His special ability, what else? Bombs. He blows stuff up. Ooh. Just as soon as Cosmo introduced Blammo to the Galaxy Warrior crowd, you hear police sirens, and all of a sudden, here comes Sheriff Skyfire. What do I have to say about Sheriff Skyfire other than at least they did the original Tokusatsu character the Metal Heroes hero known as Space Sheriff Jiraiya. Yeah, you heard it right. That's the character's actual name, Space Sheriff Jiraiya. In the Japanese version of Ninja Steel, Shuriken Sentai Ninja, Space Sheriff Jiraiya is supposed to be one of the last true ninjas in the galaxy. Well, what? You just want to play? You just want to play? She just wants to play. And he's actually a really intriguing, cool character. He appeared in, of course, the Space Sheriff Metal Hero series Jiraiya way back in the 90s. To try to pinpoint a year for Jiraiya, I kind of want to say it was like around. I want to say it was like around 94. I want to say it was like around 1994 that they introduced Jiraiya. You broken? You broken? Yeah, she's broken. And it was actually a really, really good series. If anybody knows what Space Sheriff or Metal Heroes is, y'all remember VR Troopers? Do you remember Big Bad Beetleborgs? Yeah, those are Metal Heroes. VR Troopers, what we called VR Troopers, was an adaptation of two Space Sheriff series from Japan. It was Space Sheriff Metalder and Space Sheriff. I want to say it was Scheider. Space Sheriff Scheider and Metalder is where they got all the stock footage to make VR Troopers. And of course, Big Bad Beetleborgs, or Beat Fighter, was also a Metal Heroes show. That's actually where they ended the Metal Heroes series. At least back then, they ended it with Beat Fighter, which we called Big Bad Beetleborgs and Big Bad Beetleborgs Metallics. Anyway, moving on. Obviously, here in America, we have never seen Space Sheriff Jiraiya or Sheriff Skyfire ever before now here in America. So this is the first. And of course, like I said before, I like him. He's actually a really good space sheriff. He's a good hero, good tokusatsu character. Other than me knowing about the stuff from Japan, I don't know a whole lot more about it. I've only seen a couple episodes of the Jiraiya series, and they're good. They're very, very good. I noticed that here in Super Ninja Steel, they used stock footage, obviously, from Shuriken Sentai Ninja, from the crossover episode with Space Sheriff Jiraiya. They just use a lot of stock footage. The majority of the fight scenes from this episode was stock footage. Reshot American scenes were obviously when the Rangers originally meet Sheriff Skyfire, and the footage where the security guard meets the Power Rangers. Obviously, that's all American right there. And of course, any footage you saw with Sheriff Skyfire and Madame Odious on the Galaxy Warrior ship, that was all American footage as well. I didn't really care much for the voice of Sheriff Skyfire. I keep wanting to say Sheriff Skyfire. Sheriff Skyfire. So his voice was a little bit cliche, a little bit annoying, kind of sounded a little bit too much like the Blue Centurion from Turbo. I believe that's what they call him. It just seemed like it was too authoritative and cliche, and you are under arrest, and they can't find better voice actors than that. Speaking of voice actor, there were several times in the episode where you could see the sheriff's mouth moving under the costume. And yeah, while I'm aware, a lot of pieces of this Sheriff Skyfire costume are made of cloth because it's supposed to simulate that classic ninja garb kind of look. But in the Japanese version, you never see his mouth moving underneath the face covering. But in this one, you actually saw his mouth moving several times. Would have been easier for them to just dub the character instead of watching the mouth move underneath the cloth protective mouth covering. But that's neither here or there. Back to the story anyway. if you want to call it a story. Anyway, the security guard from the school gets Haley in trouble with the principal. Principal ends up sentencing her to separating the trash from the recyclables in the school. Well, going back a little further, just maybe like a minute or two before that, we see that the monster, Blammo, had planted a bomb, one of his bombs, inside of a trash bin in the junkyard of the school where the Rangers train. Again, if the enemies know where the Rangers are at, if they know where they train, why don't they just launch an all-out assault on the Rangers when they're training in the courtyard or something like that? Just didn't really make a whole lot of sense to me. Well, Madame Odious apparently tricked Sheriff Skyfire into thinking that the Rangers stole my prism. This has been done before. The villain trying to dupe another hero into thinking that the villains are actually the good guys and the Rangers are the bad guys. That's been done a couple of times now, so that's an old little story arc there. And of course, the Rangers, when they first meet Sheriff Skyfire, he claims they're under arrest for the theft of Madame Odious's prism, blah, 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 no other reason. They have a small little fight. And a helpless old woman gets caught in the crossfire. Like, literally, she almost blows up because of one of Sheriff Skyfire's blasts almost hits this old woman as she's getting into her car, and her purse goes flying, and they both the Rangers and Sheriff Skyfire stop what they're doing immediately and go check on the little old woman to make sure she's okay. And then the Rangers realize, oh, you really are a good guy, Sheriff. No, duh. Sheriffs are supposed to be good guys. Cops are the good guys. Plain and simple. Oh, man, you just gonna go to sleep? She's gonna go to sleep. And obviously the sheriff finds out that Madame Odious was the one that was lying. The Rangers, off screen, catch him up on all of the evil deeds of Madame Odious and the Galaxy Warriors. And now he's on their side, of course. Well, because I said just a minute ago that Haley was sentenced to separating the trash from the recyclables as a punishment by the principal, she gets there, and of course the school security guard, Clint, is there, at least I think his name was Clint, separating the recyclables from the trash. And Haley says, wasn't I supposed to do that? And he obviously looks pretty annoyed and is pretty fed up with obviously a lot of the kids in the school not following regulations and rules, not throwing the recyclables in the recyclables and the trash in the trash. That's a really small thing, but apparently it irks his nerves just enough to make him think about quitting his job. Well, as the security guard and Haley are talking to each other, you straight see him pull Blammo's bomb out of the trash, put it in the recyclable, and he's just tossing it around. He's got no idea what it is, and he's just tossing it around. And just as soon as he drives off, here comes the rest of the Rangers with Sheriff Skyfire, and he shows Haley a picture of Blammo holding one of his bombs, and Haley says, what is that? Sheriff Skyfire says, oh, that's one of his bombs. And she says, oh, well, I just saw one of those in the trash. Clint's taking it to to be recycled. Oh, we have to stop him, of course. So the Rangers have to save Clint, the security guard, and fight off Blammo at the same time, which it really wasn't the same time. It was more like one after the other, but it's whatever. They catch up with Clint. He's surprised. It's the Power Rangers. Yeah, you don't need to reiterate. We know who it is. They remove the bomb with 10 seconds left using their Ranger ninjutsu powers to make a hole appear in the ground, and then they throw the bomb in the hole. It's a good thing it wasn't like a nuke, because that probably would have been really messy. It's just a regular old, like, stick of dynamite bomb. Not much, like a couple of grenades maybe worth of explosives. Not even really that much, not that big a deal. So anyway, a bomb that was only a big enough explosion to kill like maybe one person, if that, warranted all the Power Rangers to rescue the guy from. They join with Sheriff Skyfire. They morph. They take on Blammo. Of course, they kick Blammo's butt on ground. Like, really, that's all it was them just taking turns kicking the monster's ass. That's pretty much all I can say. Again, good fight sequence. Just stock footage from Ninja. That's to be expected, though. But still, good fight sequence. Skyfire hands his sword to Brody, the Red Ranger, and he uses both his Star Sword and his and Jiraiya or Skyfire sword to finish off Blammo. A little double sword action there going on. But of course, he gets gigantified, and they have to form the Megazord. Skyfire thinks, "Oh, that's magnificent. That's cool," you know, because apparently he can't do that. Not all space sheriffs have a big old spaceship or a Zord, apparently. Jiraiya wasn't one of them. Now, if it was Space Sheriff Gavin, yeah, he has a really cool, like, giant dragon spaceship. That's actually really, really cool. They finish him off. And, of course, we go back to Victor and Monty at the school. And they're riding around on little scooters with fake police sirens and stuff on them, dressed up as security guards, and they're basically just bullying everybody out of their hat, their shirt, their food, their science experiment, whatever have you. Well, the end of the episode, of course, Victor and Monty are going to get their comeuppance. Well, apparently they were hungry and decided to eat the one boy's food or science experiment that they thought were just giant blueberries. Well, guess what? Not giant blueberries. Apparently, the student claimed that it was some kind of experimental astronaut food that he hadn't perfected the formula on yet. So what happens to Victor and Monty then? You ever seen Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory? Violet Beauregard? Does that sound familiar? Literally, they basically turn blue and blimp up like Violet Beauregard from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. And one of the Rangers even said, "Well, Victor, we should change your name to Violet." Willy Wonka? Really? Violet Beauregard? That whole shtick? Whatever. I've definitely seen worse, but I know I've definitely seen better. You still with me? She is passed out. Well, that's pretty much my review of episode 14 of Power Rangers Super Ninja Steel, Sheriff Skyfire. Better than last week's episode, better than the week before that. Basically, this is the best episode that we've had since the 25th anniversary episode a few weeks ago. So, a few episodes left. I'm going to keep on trucking, going to keep on talking about it, going to keep making fun of it if they're going to keep making fun of themselves. So, just remember, if you ever think I'm making fun of Power Rangers, trust me, they make fun of themselves more than I make fun of them. So, if anything, that just gives me more of an opportunity to capitalize on a joke that they already, they already basically made. This is too cute. This is too cute. Look at this. She's too cute. What? Say hi. Sweet little baby kitty. Only a few weeks old. Well, guys, thanks for watching. Not going to waste your time anymore because this is like becoming dead air now. So be sure to like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. You all know the deal. Help me out. The more I grow, the more I can give back. Remember that, guys. So until next week, Rangers, ready, go. This concludes our broadcast day. Meow.